Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about health. Now what do I understand by the term health? Health is basically means a physical or a mental state of a person. I think it is the most important factor that determines the success of a person. It also determines the relationship with your family, friends, relatives, and most importantly, with yourself. Long time ago, I heard a phrase that goes, if you lose money, you lose nothing. But if you lose health, you lose something. There, I found this phrase very powerful because many people, for while chasing money, often forget about their health. They don't understand that if you lose money, the money can come back to you. But when you lose your health, it get you into such state that you might never get into what it was. So when we talk about the health, I had a very emotional experience. My father, my father had 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 an epilepsy for about 17 years, and he suffered almost like every day. We have seen him suffering because of that his whole life changed, his whole relationship with his friends, with us, with I mean with everyone. So how does it have started? I think it was started even before I was born, when my elder brother, who is now 38, was 8 years old and he was at boarding school. So my father went to pick him, and while on the way back home, on the way back home, when they stopped at a when stopped at a place where they stopped for lunch, my father started having ex- this sense that the people who he was sitting with on the bus were trying to kill him. And my both my brother and father were about to enter the restaurant where he sensed that few people with the guns waiting inside the restaurant. So he decided to retreat, and he even he so what he planned at the place where they stopped had a big mountain, and road was from the right side, and he decided to flank them from the left side. So what was on the left side now? It was a rough terrain, and there was a river flowing along that line. And he thought it in his mind that the people who left on the bus might be waiting for him on the main way. They will they will surprise they will surprise him. So imagine this: he was with the 8 years old kid, and he was thinking to go from this rough terrain. So fortunately, so at the time, fortunately, a cargo truck came. Uh, I have always I should always I should also mention that the this time the weather was with the heavy rain. So the cargo truck came with the rice on it, and it was covered. The rice whole rice was covered with a sheet of plastic of a sheet of plastic where he finds an opportunity. He pull his son over the truck, the trunk of the truck, and then he too get on into it, and they hide there. Where my brother would often tell me that father was telling me to pray to God, and I think both started praying inside the plastic. And somehow they reached home where my father told the whole story to my mother, and I think my mother got sense. My mother understood that he was not in the right state of his mind, and then on it started continuously. There was no stop. Uh, it, as far as I remember, how my mother would suddenly wake up at night. She would call my name and my sisters. She would shout, and when we go to their room, we find that father was lying on the bed, twisted with twisted legs and hands, uh, white bubbles from the mouth. My mother would my mother would rubbing her hands and her foods and palms, and she would ask her to get the priest who was also our neighbor. We would run to him to the priest and call him, tell him that the father is having this and that now. Please do come and look after the situation. He would come and he would do some sorts of ritual, and I don't know. Since we believe in shamanism, no, we believe, my father was an orthodox. He believed in shamanism. He never went to the hospital, and he never ever approved, never, not ever, never approved to go to the hospital before all this happened. Not all this happened before before all. I mean, until the last until the last time he went. So he was he was an orthodox shamanism, and he don't believe in hospitals. He never went to the hospital. My mother would even my mother would call see, the things happen, it becomes so intense that we whenever he it, intense that every person he sees is his every person he sees is his enemy now. So it was like we were doing all sorts of rituals, the sacrifices, the the cow, the birds, the hens, the pigs, what sorts of all the sorts of sacrifice that a priest recommends. We have done everything, but it was nowhere getting closer to what it's supposed to get. And so we were often warned that if he loses his conscience, everyone should leave, everyone should run. So I remember once night someone called us, he lost his conscience, and every people people in the house jump out from the window. Somewhere some run from some ran away from another door. I remember I jumped from the window and went to my relative's house. We slept for a night there, and we came next day. And I have to tell you that the only person who didn't left his side was my mother. My mother remained with my father, and to my and to my and to my knowledge, or what I have heard from my father, is that my father was always grateful to my mother. he would always say to whenever this topics or discussion comes out, I think my discuss comes out, my father would always tell my mother that if it was not for you, I would have already died. Because he was sometimes he was completely unconscious for about days, weeks, and at that time my mother would diaper her, my mother would feed my father, he all sorts of things. Even see, I like I said, he doesn't approve to go to the hospital, so my mother would request a doctor. He would ask doctor to come in our house and look after the patient, look into the situation, and right, whatever options she had, she tried. She even tried to convince my father, but he didn't agree. And so he went to the doctor. He asked the doctor to come, and doctor to come, and the doctor, I wonder what kind of doctor that was, because now I think of it, the medicine, I remember the syrup the doctor gave my mother a syrup where it was the problem. I think doctor knew the problem was in his brain, but the syrup was for his liver. I don't even know why he prescribed that. However, it went on like that for 17 years. And finally, when I was in class 8, somehow he was convinced. And I have to mention that I used to pray a lot. And for the reason only, I started losing faith on God, because I have seen my father suffered a lot. So not only my father, my mother, the whole the whole family, the whole situation of the whole life became ups and down. The whole life was flipped. We didn't know what to do. We were out of options. We approached every source of praise from every tribe, from every community. There was no option left until when I was in class 8. Somehow my brother, elder brother, convinced my father to go to the hospital, and I don't know what happened to him, but he agreed. By this time he was so thin that he had only skins in his body. So they went to the hospital, and again he got the shock in the hospital, where he was tied with a rope, and he broke the rope. They tied the staff, they tied him again on his finger. Now finger, and they did all kinds of this MRI thing, where they found out that my father had there was a worm in his head that was eating his brain that day. However, fortunately, now I believe this is maybe because of the grace of God. The worm was dead, and only remains was in his head. The remains of the worm was in his head. So doctor gave him prescribed him some medicines, and from there on, he he got all right. He started smiling, and now what I learned from what now how would this thing change our life? Number one, since after this thing happened with my father became more isolated with himself. He stopped his movement. Now he doesn't go to his relative to his friends. He doesn't go to his relatives house. He only go to the to his to do his duties. And To go to his duties, also he would take one of his children, me, my sister, or my sister, since my elder brother was already studying in some was studying in hostel by the time. So she would take it, one of us. He would take one of us, and then when he returns back, he would not go to anywhere. He will plant trees around around the campus. He will cut the grasses. He will construct pig house, hens house, and all sorts of things. I think even if he wanted to go, he wanted to go to his friend's place. Wanted to go, but he was scared. I think he was scared it might hunt him down, and he might do something bad to the other people. And with and the relationship with his son, with his wife, also become see very serious. We often sit with them. I mean, like, I don't know, but I have this very I always talk in sarcastic way, but my father became very serious, and many of my friends and my sister's friend were afraid of him. He would often whatever he says, it was like, if he sleeps, we have to be keep stay quiet. He would never talk to us. Maybe he was depressed. He was sad. He was never. I mean, I don't find him laughing around until he was finally got normal. Uh, got normal after uh, going to the hospital. After that, he got his uh, he body he gained the weight. He started moving. He started visiting with his friends, to our relatives. Started visit. He started going to the picnics. Before, it was that we everyone of our family member would go to the picnics, parties, but he was the only one who would stay at home. Yeah, yeah, it happened like that. And most importantly, and for I think that's why he was. I spent almost mm, I spent almost my childhood. I spent all my childhood with my father, and I have never seen, never saw him laughing loud. I mean, he would smile, but I never saw him laugh. So this is the whole story. This is what happened, and however, with the grace of God, it got normal. Yeah, that's it.